In the summer of 2009, a 15-year-old girl in Buffalo, New York, looked at her ringing phone and saw her older sister's name on the screen. Melissa had vanished a week earlier. No calls, no texts, nothing. The girl answered before the second ring, expecting to hear her sister's voice.
I'm really sorry,
but the voice that came through the speaker was not Melissa's. It was a man, flat, monotone, a thick Long Island accent pressed into every syllable like a thumbprint left on purpose. He knew the girl's name.
No, wait, hold on. Where are you? Just stay there, okay?
He knew what she looked like. And over the next 3 minutes, he described what he had done to Melissa in language that no child should ever have to process. Then he said he killed her. And he hung up. That man called 6 more times over the following weeks. Always from Melissa's phone. Always from crowded locations in Midtown Manhattan, Penn Station, Times Square, the blocks around Madison Square Garden, places so dense with bodies that a cell signal dissolved into the noise of 10,000 strangers. And he always called the same person, not the police, not a reporter, a teenager. Because what this man wanted was not credit. It was suffering. And here is the part that should keep you awake tonight. No one, not a single detective, not a single federal agent, not a single algorithm would identify that voice for more than 13 years. This is the Gilgo Beach case. And the man behind that voice was not hiding in some bunker or drifting across state lines like the drifters and drifters we've profiled on this channel before. No. He was commuting to work every morning on the Long Island Railroad, designing buildings in Midtown Manhattan, attending parent-teacher conferences, and sleeping in a suburban home 45 minutes from the graves he had filled. His name was Rex Heuermann. He was an architect, a husband, a father. And for 17 years, between 1993 and 2010, he murdered 8 women and buried their bodies along one of the most desolate stretches of road in America. To understand how a predator this methodical stayed invisible for this long, we need to go back to a single phone call that cracked open a cemetery no one knew existed. May 1st, 2010, to 50 in the morning. The air on Long Island's South Shore carries that particular late spring chill, salt and wet sand, and the faint petroleum smell of the nearby causeways.
Help! Is anyone out there?
A
please.
24-year-old
I know
woman
you're there.
named Shannan
Look at
Gilbert
me.
is inside a client's home in Oak Beach, a gated community tucked between the Great South Bay and the Atlantic. The kind of place where the houses sit low and the streets go dark after 9. Shannan is a sex worker. Her driver, Michael Pack, is waiting in the car outside. For nearly 3 hours, everything seems routine.
You have to hurry.
Then,
I'm at the beach
at
house. It's him.
4:50
I
in the
know it.
morning,
Just stay calm. Tell
Shannan
me where
dials
exactly you are.
911.
He's
The call
outside.
lasts
He's here.
22
Help,
minutes.
he's here. I'm at the
In
beach
parts
house.
of it, she is
Please,
coherent.
he's outside. Hello? Are you there? No. Please, no. Stop. I can't breathe. I can't. Leave me
In
alone,
others,
please.
she can't form sentences. In the background, there are sounds that could be pounding fists against wood or a body
I'm
against
at
a
the address.
wall.
Please.
She
please
is
help me.
saying
Send
over
someone
and
now.
over
They're
that
here. I
someone
can
is
hear
coming
them.
after
Please
her,
hurry.
that they are trying to kill her.
Please, no.
The
Help.
dispatcher
Is anyone
asks
there?
for her location. Shannan
Stay where
doesn't
you are.
know.
Get
She
back here.
runs from the
Help me,
house.
please.
She
Someone's
bangs on a
coming.
neighbor's
Who are
door.
you? What's going on?
A man named
Here.
Gus
He followed
Coletti
me.
lets her in and
Followed
calls
you.
the
Where did you come
police.
from?
No.
But when he tells
No.
Shannan the cops are coming,
Please.
she becomes
God,
even
no.
more frantic.
Not here. Help me. Open up.
She bolts
Please,
again,
please, open up.
out into the dark, barefoot.
Help me. Oh God.
She
help
is
me.
last
Let
seen
me
pounding
in.
on the door of another resident, Barbara
Please.
Brennan, screaming
Don't
for
listen.
help.
Who are
When
you?
police arrive
Get back.
almost an
Get
hour
away from
later,
my door.
Shannan Gilbert is gone. She will not be seen alive again. Now, if you followed the cases we've investigated on this channel, as we saw with the deep sea trap incident, you know that the worst discoveries often come when you're looking for something else entirely. Seven months after Shannan vanished on December 11th, 2010, a Suffolk County police officer named John Malia is conducting a routine training exercise with his cadaver dog, Blue, along a stretch of Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach. Ocean Parkway is a narrow 2-lane road that runs through some of the most isolated terrain on Long Island, a flat, windswept corridor of scrub brush, poison ivy, and sand, flanked by the Atlantic on one side and marshland on the other. In winter, the wind cuts through it like a blade. There are no houses, no street lights. Just the road, the brush, and the sound of waves you can hear but cannot see. Blue stops. He begins to dig. And there, wrapped in camouflage burlap, the kind used by duck hunters, are human remains. They are not Shannan Gilbert's. 2 days later, investigators return. They find 3 more bodies within a kilometer of the first, all wrapped the same way. All female, all young. The police had come looking for one missing woman. They had found a graveyard. The 4 victims were identified as Melissa Barthélemy, 24, Maureen Brainard-Barnes, 25, Megan Waterman, 22, Amber Lynn Costello, 27. All sex workers, all had advertised on Craigslist. All had disappeared between June 2007 and September 2010. None of them knew each other. They became known as the Gilgo Four, but it got worse. Between March and April 2011, 6 more sets of remains surfaced along the same corridor and surrounding areas. Some were women whose torsos had been found years earlier in Menorville, more than 60 kilometers away. Others had never been reported missing at all. In total, 10 sets of human remains were recovered, including a woman and her 2-year-old daughter, and a man dressed in women's clothing whose identity was never publicly confirmed. This was no longer a missing persons case. This was a serial killing ground. And yet, for 13 years, nothing happened. And the reason nothing happened has a name: James Burke, chief of the Suffolk County Police Department. Burke did something almost incomprehensible. He kicked the FBI off the investigation. He blocked interagency cooperation. He sealed the case inside a jurisdictional fortress. The families of the victims were furious. They felt abandoned. And they were right. Because the victims were sex workers, and in the calculus of institutional indifference, their lives carried less weight. Burke himself was later convicted, not for obstruction in the Gilgo case, but for beating a man who stole items from his home, including sex toys, and then conspiring to prevent the FBI from investigating his actions. He went to prison in 2016. Only after Burke's removal did the FBI finally gain access to the case. But here is the detail that should make your blood pressure spike. There was a witness from the very beginning. A man named Dave Shaler, who was Amber Lynn Costello's roommate, told police that a few weeks before Amber vanished, a massive man, 6'5", built like Frankenstein, his words, had come to their home after hiring Amber for a private dance. The man became aggressive. He tried to assault her. Shaler intervened, physically fought the man, and eventually drove him out.
Damn it!
He watched the man get into a dark green or black Chevy Avalanche and drive away, no emotion on his face. Just a slow turn of the head, watching, memorizing. A month later, Amber saw the same man again. She needed money badly, and he offered $2,000. It was the last time anyone saw her alive. Shaler reported this to police. The truck, the physical description, the encounter, multiple times. Nobody followed up. Nobody ran a search for Chevy Avalanches registered in Massapequa. Nobody cross-referenced vehicle records with the physical description of a 6'5" white male. All it would have taken was a single DMV query, and the case might have been over in 2010 instead.
All right, listen up.
It took until February 2022, when a new Suffolk County Police Commissioner named Rodney Harrison did what should have been done 12 years earlier. He formed a dedicated multi-agency task force, FBI, New York State Police, the county sheriff. Everyone on the same page. And within weeks, a name surfaced that had never appeared in the official investigation before Rex Heuermann. The task force pulled the thread. Cell tower data showed that Heuermann's personal phone pinged in the same locations, at the same times as the burner phones used to contact 3 of the Gilgo 4 before their disappearances. His home in Massapequa Park was in the exact zone from which that single anomalous signal had been traced during the taunting calls to Amanda Barthélemy years earlier. He worked in Midtown Manhattan, the precise area where those calls originated. His physical description matched every detail Amanda had given at age 15. White male, middle-aged, flat voice, Long Island accent, and a Chevy Avalanche was registered to his brother's name. Heuermann drove it regularly. It sat in his driveway. Visible on Google Street View for 13 years. But they needed something unimpeachable. Something molecular. And this is where the science of a discarded pizza becomes the hinge on which an entire investigation turns. The task force deployed a surveillance team in Manhattan. They followed Heuermann during his workday. And one afternoon, they watched him walk out of his office, carry a pizza box to a trash can on the sidewalk, and throw it away.
Alguien va a encuentro hoy.
Inside the box, a half-eaten crust slick with saliva. Officers retrieved the box within minutes. The DNA extracted from that pizza crust was compared to a single strand of hair, a hair recovered from the bottom of the burlap. Sack wrapped around the body of Megan Waterman, it matched. The architect's genetic fingerprint, pulled from a piece of garbage on a Manhattan sidewalk, connected him to a body buried in the sand dunes of Long Island. As we documented in the Nutty Putty disaster, evidence does not care about your reputation. It does not care about your degree. It simply exists, waiting. On July 13th, 2023, Rex Heuermann was arrested near his office in Manhattan.
Right there. Hands
He
behind
was
your back
charged
now.
with the murders of
What is
3
it?
of the
I haven't done
Gilgo 4,
anything. Cooperate.
Melissa Barthélemy,
Don't do
Megan
this.
Waterman, and Amber Lynn Kostlow. He appeared in court the next day, wept, and said through his attorney, I didn't do it.
This is all a mistake. I didn't do this. I never meant for this to happen. I swear
But
to you.
what investigators found inside his Massapequa Park home told a very different story. The house itself was a contradiction, a decaying structure in a middle-class neighborhood, its exterior peeling and dark. The yard overgrown, a stark contrast to the tidy suburban homes on either side. In the basement, on a hard drive, they found a Microsoft Word document titled HK240. Buried in the unallocated space of the disk, the digital graveyard where deleted files go to decompose. Prosecutors called it a blueprint because that is exactly what it was. A manual for murder written by an architect who designed buildings by day and engineered killings by night. The document had 4 columns. The first was labeled problems. Item number 1, DNA. The second column, supplies, gloves, hairnets, police scanners. The third, DS, which prosecutors determined stood for dump sites. The fourth, TRG, targets under targets, a single annotation. Small is good. Consistent, down to the last detail, with the profile of every victim, all small, slender women. The document contains sections for pre-preparation, preparation, and post-event. Pre-preparation, vehicle inspection, weather forecast, surveillance camera reconnaissance. Preparation, set the stage. Post-event, change the tires, burn the gloves, have a story ready, burn the stage. One note read, sound travels, a reminder to manage noise. Another, consider a blow to the neck next time. Under body preparation, instructions on removing heads and hands and obliterating identifying marks like tattoos. Jessica Taylor, one of the later victims, was found decapitated, her arms severed. A tattoo on her body savagely scraped away with a sharp instrument. The document was not a fantasy. It was an operating manual, and it had been revised and updated over years. They also found nearly 300 firearms in the house. On his devices, an extensive collection of torture pornography accessed under the alias Thomas Hulk in his Manhattan office. 2 magazines he had kept like trophies, a 2016 edition of People with the headline The Hunt for the Long Island Serial Killer, and a New York Magazine issue from the same year featuring a cover story on the murders. He had been watching himself be hunted, and enjoying it. There was a pattern the task force confirmed across every murder. Heuermann's wife, Asa Ellerup, and his children were always out of state on the dates each victim disappeared. He waited until he was alone. Solitude was his trigger. And over the following months, charges multiplied. January 2024, the murder of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, completing the Gilgo 4. June 2024, the murders of Jessica Taylor, who vanished in 2003, and Sandra Costilla, whose partial remains had been found as far back as 1993, more than 30 years before the arrest. December 2024, the murder of Valerie Mack, missing since 2008, women, 17 years. On April 8th, 2026, exactly 1,000 days after his arrest, Rex Heuermann, 62 years old, entered the Suffolk County Courthouse in Riverhead, New York, dark suit, hands cuffed behind his back. The gallery was packed. Families of the victims sat in the front rows. Law enforcement officers lined the walls. The press filled every remaining seat. Prosecutor Raymond Tierney began to walk him through the facts, victim by victim. In or about July 6, 2010, did you encounter Megan Waterman with the intent to cause her death? And did you cause her death?
Mr. Heuermann.
Heuermann's answer came in the same flat, affectless voice that Amanda Barthélemy had described 15 years earlier. Yes.
I went home and ate dinner. I did not see anyone. The car was parked outside.
Not guilty.
Did you kill each victim by
I went
means
to
of
the store.
strangulation?
I returned home. It was a
Yes.
normal evening.
Sandra Costilla,
I do not recall
1993.
anything out of the
Karen
ordinary.
Vergata, 1996. Valerie Mack, 2000. Jatatel 3. Maureen Brainard-Barnes, 2007. Melissa Barthélemy, 2009. Megan Waterman, 2010. Amber Lynn Coslow, 2010. 8 women. The same answer, the same voice,
No.
the same absence of anything resembling a human conscience. He confirmed that he strangled all of them, that he bound
Yes, I
some of
confirm I
them,
used rope to bind
that
them.
he wrapped the bodies in
Strangulation
burlap,
details, yes, are accurate to my actions.
that he dumped them along Gilgo Beach, that he dismembered several. He described it all with the emotional register of a man reading items off a supply list, which, given the document on his hard drive, may be exactly how he experienced it. While he spoke, his ex-wife Asa and daughter Victoria sat in the last row, holding hands, clutching tissues. 1,000 days earlier, he had wept and proclaimed his innocence. Now, with the composure of an architect presenting blueprints to a client, he narrated 8
The
murders.
methodology was precise.
pleaded guilty to
calculated
7.
minimize any
He
residue.
admitted to the
Every
8th,
detail
Karen
down to the
Vergata,
trajectory.
as part of a plea
Yes, Your
agreement,
Honor.
since he had not yet been formally charged with that
I am
killing.
guilty.
In exchange, he agreed to cooperate with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit to help identify patterns in other serial cases.
Counsel, while I appreciate the vigorous defense, the motion for summary judgment is hereby
On June
denied. We will
17th,
proceed to trial.
2026, Justice Timothy Maze sentenced Rex Heuermann to life in prison without the possibility of parole. 3 consecutive life sentences, followed by additional terms of 25 years to life. Before the sentence was read, Heuermann stood and addressed the court. His words were brief. I am responsible. There are no words. I
have
am
already stated
responsible.
everything I know to
But there are questions that remain. Investigators are still examining properties Heuermann owned in Las Vegas and Chester, South Carolina. Serial killers do not limit themselves to a single zip code. And experts have noted that the probability of a man like Heuermann going dormant for 13 years, between 2010 and his arrest in 2023, is extremely low. The urge does not simply disappear. It builds, it festers, it demands release. Are there more burial grounds? More victims? The families of the Gilgo waited over a decade for answers. Other families in other states may still be waiting. Prosecutor Tierney apologized to the families for how long the investigation took. Maureen Brainard-Barnes' sister, Melissa, spade a press afterward. She said, for every family that is still looking, still hoping, still holding on, please don't give up.
Determined to seek the justice we deserve, no matter the cost. We must not lose hope. There is a path forward, and together we will find it.
Even when it seems impossible, even when the years pass and the silence weighs heavy, keep going. Your loved ones matter. They were not forgotten. The monster who lived next door has been contained. But the silence of Gilgo Beach, the wind through the scrub, the waves beyond the dunes, still carries the weight of everything that was buried there. And silence, as we have learned on this channel, is never truly empty. It is simply waiting.